Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyra, and here on this channel we love makeup, but we're all about real makeup for real life and real people. Today's video is one that I have not done in the past, but I'm hoping to continue to do in the future, maybe every 6 months or so, and that is sort of a makeup inventory roundup of numbers, thoughts, comparisons, and I find this really helpful not only to myself, but hopefully for you guys as well, just to see how things ebb and flow as a person who creates content here on YouTube. But I also don't want to be wasteful, and I've had a little bit of time with these numbers to sort of look at them and draw some conclusions and thoughts and goals for next year. So we're going to start out, and I'm just going to tell you what my numbers were in each category at the beginning of this year and what they are now at the end of this year. Now, I have been filming, and I do have coming my collection series for the end of the year, which will be coming up in December, but these numbers do not reflect that declutter. So this is what we're looking like before we declutter, and then I'll look at my numbers again in January. I, of course, will have those numbers reflected in each of the inventory videos that you'll see, what I had, what I now have, and then about halfway through next year, we'll go ahead and do another video like this. And you guys get to see me in my glasses today. I actually wear glasses all the time. I just don't wear them when I film because the ring light reflects really badly off of them and it looks weird. So I have my ring light on low, as much natural light as I can. Let's get started. So the first category is, of course, primer. And in January, I had 10 primers, and I still have 10 primers. I would like this to be a lot less in the future because I'm pretty picky now when it comes to primers, and if they aren't doing something for my skin, I don't need to have them in my collection. So my goal for next year would be to half that, maybe 5 primers in my collection at any given time. For foundation, at the beginning of the year, I had 13. I now have 19, so I have increased by 6. This is really high for me, and I would really like to have my numbers be less than 10 in the future. All right, next is concealer, and this is outrageous. At the beginning of the year, I had 17. I now have 22 concealers. This is absolutely ridiculous. I have been working through some concealers this year, but it is slow going. And 22 is just, like I said, absolutely ridiculous. So I would like to, again, just like the foundations, I would like to have less than 10 concealers in my collection at any given time. I'm just entering in these goals as we go. For powder, I started the year with 11. I now have 16. Again, way too many. Again, I would like to see this be less than 10 in the future. Bronzer, holy moly. It was like this year was the year of concealers and bronzers. At the beginning of the year, I had 26, which was actually down from the end of 2020 where I had 28. I now have 33 bronzers. How many bronzers can one person use? And to be fair, it took me almost the entire year of pretty regular use to use up this Tarte bronzer. There's just a little tiny sliver yet. So, wow, really crazy. I definitely would like to see this number be more like 20 at the most. And that's still a whole ton, but you know, you gotta start somewhere. Next, for blush, oh my goodness. At the end of 2020, I had 59. At the beginning of January, after decluttering, I had 47, and I now, are you ready for this? I now have 71 blushes. This is outrageous, outrageous. I can't even, I don't know how that happens other than I love blush. But I do need to work on letting go of some older ones in my collection, as well as stopping buying blush. I mean, How many more colors of blush are there out there that I could possibly need? I would love to see this number under 50 next year. So we'll see what we can do. Clearly, I'm not going to pan 21 blushes, but I can go through and look at duplicates. I can rehome some, and certainly I can work on panning some. For highlighter, in January, I had 21. I now have 36. What happened? I don't even understand this because I am not a huge highlighter girl. I feel like with highlighters, there's only so many different tones of highlight before they all just start looking the same, even on the skin. I'm still sick if you can't tell, so I'm drinking hot coffee because it feels so good. So again, I would really like to see this number be more like 20 in the future. For face palettes, I had 26 at the end of 2020. I then had 19 by the time I decluttered in January of this year, and I now have 23. So I increased by 4. For me, again, I would like to see this number for sure be less than 20. Even 20 seems like so much because, again, these are in addition to my bronzer, blush, and highlight numbers that I've already told you, so yikes. Next is setting spray. I had 5 at the end of 2020, 5 at the beginning of 2021, and I have 5 now. So I'm fine with that. I really feel like I only need 1 or 2 if I'm being honest. Something that is hydrating that's just going to help set down the powders on my face, as well as something that's going to help with the longevity of my makeup when I need that. So I'm going to put 2. Brows. At the beginning of the year, I had 9 brow products. I now have 15 brow products. That is definitely too many. I'd like to see 10 or less in the future. I'm trying to speed this up a little bit because we have other numbers I want to get into besides these. Eyeshadow palettes. Any guesses? At the end of 2020, I had 96 eyeshadow palettes. Absolutely redonkulous for me. This is all for me, my collection, how I feel about the numbers. At the beginning of January, I had 83 eyeshadow palettes, and I now have 85 eyeshadow palettes. Still way too many. I honestly would like to see this be less than 50. I mean, in the long and distant future. Yeah. I'm going to try to be pretty ruthless with my eyeshadow declutter here coming up in December. But, I mean, we'll see. Single eyeshadow pans. I had no singles in 2020. I started collecting them this year. And I started out with 72 single eyeshadows. Some from Beauty Junkies and some from Sydney Grace. However, I have since depotted several eyeshadow palettes, including quite a few ColourPop eyeshadow palettes. So that number has gone up to 133 single eyeshadows. This is hard. I don't know that I even want to make a goal on this because single eyeshadows has saved me from buying so many palettes of eyeshadow in my collection. It has prevented me from purchasing repeat shades in eyeshadow palettes in my collection. So I'm going to kind of leave that one blank. For single potted or liquid shadows, at the beginning of the year, I had 17. I now have 13. So there's one that has gone down. I'd like to see this number be about 10. Overall pans of eyeshadow coming from those 85 eyeshadow palettes. Effie, brace yourself. 1,297 pans of eyeshadow. I believe this also includes those 133 eyeshadows that are singles. I can't remember. Eyeliners, not a problem. I had 8 in January. I have 10 now. Eye bases, I had 5 in January. I have 3 now. Mascara, I had 10 in January. I have 8 now. Lip liners, I had 10 in January. I have 10 now. Bullet lipsticks, I had 53 in January and I have 57 now. That's not bad. I've really reined myself in as far as buying lip products this year. Lip glosses, I had 30 in January. I have 34 now, but I've also finished like 5 this year. We'll get to that in a minute. Liquid lipsticks, I had 2 in January. I have 2 now. Right now in my collection, I have 1,902 products, including single shadows, the whole shebang. And that's a lot of freaking makeup. I mean, let's be honest here. So, you know, we've made some goals for next year. And with that said, let's look at some numbers a little bit more in depth. I want to talk about how many I've decluttered this year, as well as and or versus how many products I have finished in each category this year. Unfortunately, I did not record very well. I started about mid-year with my makeup inventory as I was adding things, adding the date in which I added the product to my collection, but those numbers are not going to be accurate, so we'll have to wait till next year, and I will do a much better job this coming year. So some additional numbers. We will talk about the total declutters at the end. So let's go ahead and start with primers. I have decluttered 4 primers this year, and I finished 6. Which is really good. A lot of those I think are samples, but hey, they're not in my collection anymore. For eye bases, I decluttered 1, which I believe was the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk, and I have finished 1 eye base, which was the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base. For foundation, I have decluttered 7 and I have finished 2. For concealer, I decluttered 4 and I have finished 3. So I'm pretty glad about that. Concealer I feel like can take a while to use up, but I feel like with dedicated use, I tend to move through them pretty quickly, especially if they had any prior use to them. For powders, I have decluttered 6 and I have finished 1. That, you know, that I think, well, let's not go there. For setting spray, I've decluttered 2 and I have finished 1 this year. For bronzer, I decluttered 7 and I've finished 2. 1 being the Tarte one and 1 being my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Contour Wand. For blush, I've decluttered 12 this year and finished 0. Goose egg. This is a reason why blush is a problem for me. I need to let some go and I need to stop buying them as much as possible. Highlighter, I have decluttered 7 this year and finished 0. Face palettes, I have decluttered 8 and finished 0, which I find really interesting because I still have 23 face palettes. For single eyeshadows, I have decluttered 7 and finished 0. For eyeliner, I decluttered 6 this year and finished 0. For mascaras, I decluttered 3 this year and I have finished 8. Some of these were samples and some of these were, I don't know. I go through mascara, I feel like. And once a mascara stops performing for me, I just let it go. I consider it finished. For brows, I don't know that I've decluttered any this year, but I have finished 4 brow products. Eyeshadow palettes, again, brace yourself. I was really shocked by this number. I have decluttered 30 eyeshadow palettes this year, and of course I haven't finished any palettes, so the fact that I've decluttered 30 and I still have 85, I mean, I do feel good about the fact that I myself have only purchased 12 palettes this year. I have received a few as gifts, but I mean, I just can't get over the fact that I've decluttered 30 palettes this year. I'm always glad to pass makeup on to new and good homes, but at the same time, I don't want to waste my money. I don't purchase makeup just to review. I purchase makeup that I'm interested in adding to my collection. And when I'm decluttering that many, that tells me that I am not doing my research or really thinking about how useful a palette will be in my collection. So again, that number really hurts. Lip liners, I have decluttered 4 and I have finished 1. Lipsticks, I decluttered 11 and I have finished 3 this year. Liquid lipstick, I decluttered 4 and I have finished 0 because I don't really use it that much. Lip gloss or lip oils, I have decluttered 15, but I have finished 5 this year. So In case you weren't calculating all of this while I was going through the categories, I have decluttered in total 132 pieces of makeup this year. To me, that is way too much. I really do want to curate my collection. I want my collection to reflect makeup that I love, that I want to use, that I want to use up, etc. But 132 pieces of makeup, 30 of them being eyeshadow palettes, I just think that is shameful, if I'm being honest. I really don't feel good about that number, and that is why I have set some goals for myself within the new year. I will probably do a New Year's resolution video like I normally do in January, and this is where I make resolutions pertaining to my makeup collection, my makeup consumption, and just how I think about purchasing makeup in general. So yeah, we've got a lot to do, and by we I mean me. I really need to continue to work on my thought process in purchasing makeup next year. I'm not going to go on a no buy or anything like that, because I feel like in the past that has really set me up for failure. While I didn't buy anything during the no buy, when the no buy is over, I tend to abandon ship and just buy everything that I wanted to buy during the no buy. But like I said, I do want to make some goals, some resolutions in terms of my collection, my channel, and my consumption of makeup. But let me know down below. I mean, be nice, but you can come at me with truth. I think real friends can speak truth and love, and I know that you guys can do that as well. I will admit, this is an issue. This is less of an issue than it was in the past, but it's still a shameful amount of makeup to own, to essentially throw away. I mean, decluttering is not throwing away somebody else is going to get use out of it, but it's throwing away my money, essentially, unless it was sent in PR or it was a gift or something. So what is your makeup collection looking like right now? Do you have it under control? And if you do, leave some tips for us down in the comments below on how you keep yourself reined in on new releases and things like that. I feel good about the fact that I only purchased 12 eyeshadow palettes this year. That has really been a hard category for me in the past in terms of purchasing, but I feel like I more than made up with it in terms of blush. Blush is definitely a problem area for me. But through project panning this year, I really feel like I have grown to enjoy seeing my makeup getting used, seeing it getting loved, seeing, the dips and the pans and the dirty little usage type things. So I'm really excited to get into more of that next year through project panning and shop my stash, and just trying to do a better job overall at not over consuming makeup. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video or found it helpful or entertaining in some way. And if you did, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. That really helps other people to find my videos, and we can all make more friends down in the comments. And I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days. And I will see you in my next video really soon without my glasses.